Hey everyone, Mah-Dry-Bread here. Fallout New Vegas with only explosives was super fun. Let's follow that up with another Regigigas run. Today's the day we figure out, would I be able to beat Pokemon Black with a team of only one Regigigas? You probably already know the gimmick of this Pokemon from my other Regigigas runs, but basically it's that this super-powered legendary Pokemon has one crippling weakness. For the first 5 turns of every single fight, its attack and speed is cut in half. Once 5 turns are up, it goes right back up to full power and full speed. By level up, we have some cool options like Zen Headbutt and Dizzy Punch, but really nothing here is all that interesting. There's some strong moves, but not really our best stuff. By TM we can learn a lot more, including some more type coverage. Brick Break could be great, although I might just use Revenge instead from the level up move list, and Return is a must-have for normal types. Unfortunately, a lot of the really cool TMs here are in post-game, so I won't be able to get my hands on stuff like Earthquake. It's really a shame that we can't learn Rest, because that would be so strong, but that's probably why we can't learn Rest. Like always, I'm writing this script as I go through with the challenge, so all this part is being written before I've started. Everyone comment down below and guess if I can win or not. Of course I can win, but I want to see how low of a level I can win at. Honestly, I could still see us being in the level 70s because Gen 5 is kind of hard, but we'll see. Let's explain the rules. In combat, I can only use Regigigas. I'll need other Pokemon to use HMs, but I won't be allowed to use any of those Pokemon in battle. No glitches or exploits, no items in battle, only Pokeballs, held items, and items outside of combat are allowed. Also, if you enjoy this show, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let's do this. So, right off the bat, I use the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Snivy with Regigigas so that we can do the whole run with it. I name him Gigas, like before. Our nature is Bashful, so neutral stat gains. I mean, Adamant for more attack and less special attack would have been optimal, but I'm fine with this. Dizzy Punch, Knockoff, Confuse Ray, and Foresight is still kind of weird for our starting moves, but it's not that bad. We've got only 10 power points on our only strong attacking move though, so I'll have to go to the Poke Center a lot. But Knockoff with our high attack should still do the trick in the really early game. Plus, some of the upcoming gym leaders' Pokemon have berries, so I can knock them off. That kind of helps. So we're traveling. Now, although we have slow start and thus only have half of our speed and attack until 5 turns pass, we still just have incredible stats compared to most wild first form Pokemon that we're fighting. I mean, our attack and speed probably doubled some of these things anyway, so it's not really an issue. Right now, I'm really just trying to get to the upcoming major fights as fast as possible, because I don't think I'm going to need to go around getting extra experience. That's most of the fun of these Regigigas runs after all, seeing if I can make it through the run without going out of my way to grind or fight tons of extra trainers. So yeah, Cheren was an absolute squash, as I'm sure you're used to hearing in these runs. It's funny, either the rivals are consistently difficult or always easy in Pokemon Black runs. It really just depends on what Pokemon we've got and our type weaknesses, I guess. Hey, the first gym battle was the very first battle in this whole run to go past 5 turns. We did waste a little bit of time making it happen, but it was fun finally hitting something with full-strength Dizzy Punches. Oh, and the Cheren fight on the way out of town was an easy squash too. Why do you have to fight Cheren in town and then on the way out of the same town? I always thought that was so weird. Okay, so just because those fights are reasonably easy doesn't mean that is gonna stay that way. N has a Pokemon with low kick in the next fight, and we're a heavy normal type, so that could easily be a problem. And then right after that is the usually hard normal gym. I mean, when they don't just forget how to fight and spam Leer. We've seen that happen. Who knows, we might just bulldoze through them. Wow, so we actually almost fainted in the N fight before the gym. We were hitting hard, but they kept lowering our defense to the point that a single low kick dropped us to only 6 health. Thankfully, it took them 5 turns to do that, so as soon as we had our full power, we could sweep our way through. I think that was the first thing to do more than like 10 damage in a hit to us. So the normal gym starts with Herdier using Leer and us confusing her, just for her to nail a heavy takedown right after. She started healing herself with a super potion, but we got lucky and she hit herself in confusion quite a bit, letting slow start wear down before we took her out. As Watchog came out, we blocked Retaliate by confusing her and having her hit herself. We didn't take a single hit, finishing her off with some Dizzy Punches. That was an awesome normal gym fight. So I'm not really sure how the next chunk of the game is gonna go. I mean, the rival fight will probably be fine, but the Bug Gym and Electric Gym, I'm worried about. The Bug Gym has a rock type in it, so we might need a new move before we can do any really serious damage, and the Electric Gym tends to be a nightmare of paralysis. Let's just give it a try and see what happens. Yeah, that's what I thought. It takes half of our health to take out Whirlipede, another quarter to take out Dewebble because it lasts for so long, and then by then, Leavanny can just easily finish us off. You know what? Let's level up 3 times and get revenge. It's fighting type, so it's not exactly perfect for the bug gym, but it will keep us from running out of power points against Dewebble. Okay, as soon as we had revenge, the entire fight changed. It was like night and day. We took out Dewebble way faster without him ever getting a chance to use a Hyper Potion, leaving us in amazing shape to squash Leavanny. We even confused him off a Dizzy Punch, so we didn't even have to take a Razor Leaf. That was an awesome fight. Bianca afterwards was pretty easy, although I had forgotten to visit the Poke Center, so we actually had to do the fight with less health and power points. I played it a little safer because of that, but I still don't think we would have lost unless they, crit us multiple times. The Cheren fight right after was simple as well, but we ended up taking a lot of damage over the course of the fight between the constant sandstorm and the random crit near the end. I don't think we really could have lost the fight, but it's crazy how much weather damage builds up over the course of a fight. Okay, so we have the end fight and the Electric Gym coming up. Obviously, I grab Return right away to replace Dizzy Punch, as it's basically a straight upgrade, plus double the power points. And I figure that it'll make N easy, but I don't think we're gonna get a one-shot at the Electric Gym. Not until Slow Start wears off, at least, and will we even survive that long? I'm not sure, but I guess we'll find out when we get there. So the end fight was the weirdest fight ever. The entire fight was incredibly easy until Scraggy survived with almost no health, used Swagger, we hit ourselves, then he hit a Brick Break to drop us to only 8 health, and then we went right back to sweeping his team. That was so weird. Okay, so when I first got to the Electric Gym, I was level 29 and kept losing. Often we got paralyzed early by static and that would doom us, but they just build up a lot of damage over the course of the fight with Volt Switch anyway. All I had to do was gain 3 levels, then come back before we had a pretty easy time though. I wish I could learn Protect to stall them out, but we can't learn that move. Probably because it would be too strong on Regigigas. The Cheren fight on the way out of town was super easy, and it was because he did literally the dumbest thing he could have done. He wasted time. He was using Detect to stall us out, I guess, but all it did was make sure that we were really healthy when Slow Start ended, so he squashed his whole team. What was he even thinking? I really don't know how I feel about the upcoming part of the run right now. We finally actually had to grind a little bit multiple times now, and I don't know if this streak of grinding for the gyms is going to continue. The ground gym is typically one of the hardest ones, but Excadrill can be pretty scary from time to time. Usually, the mid-game after that point is smooth sailing though, so I think as long as the next fight goes fine, we should be fine for a while. So in the ground gym, we get hit by Swagger right away, powering us up but also confusing us. We do hit ourselves a bit early, but Slow Start ended by the time his first Pokemon went down, and we were left with insane attack after that and Swagger, so we just brute forced the entire rest of the fight perfectly fine. We did end the fight in kind of low health though. Hey, on our way out of town, we had our longest Bianca fight yet. It was only because she put us to sleep twice, but still, it's something. I love that she used Amnesia while I was asleep. What was that gonna protect her from? Okay, so we have the end fight with the tanky Pokemon, the Flying Gym, then one of the harder Cheren fights. The end fight might take a little bit since we're just gonna have to brute force it, but I think the Flying Gym is still gonna be pretty easy. Cheren is a little bit of a wild card. I'm never quite sure when he's going to start becoming an issue, if he becomes an issue. Our moveset is really pulling through for us though, and as long as I can hold off those 5 turns without getting some kind of horrible status affliction, we're usually okay. So my health is already going down when I get to N, so we're at a disadvantage, but it starts fine with Boldore spamming Iron Defense as we use Revenge to just take him down. He hardly hurt us. We got our act together to let us one-shot Joltik, but next was Pharaoh Seed, and we take some damage from Iron Barbs as we land 2 hits to take him out. Last was Clink, whose Gear Grind nearly takes us out, just for us to one-shot him with Revenge. That was way closer than it had any right to be. The Flying Gym right after was really easy. She could hardly do any damage to us at all. What's the point of using Razor Wind if it's gonna do less damage in 2 turns than the previous trainer's Pokemon were doing in 1 turn? It's an easy fight. Let's see if Cheren is harder. Nah, Cheren was pretty simple. A critical takedown took a decent chunk of our health out, but we were never in any real danger. Sorry, Cheren, not this time. That means we're going through Twist Mountain. Shame it's not winter or I'd grab Substitute. I might change the clock and do that later. We'll see how things play out. I kind of figure I'm gonna need it. I'm feeling great about this chunk of the run, though. The Ice Gym is always easy, so I figure that we're gonna have no problem there. The next Bianca fight is typically pretty easy, but then it's the easy Dragon Gym and the sometimes hard Charon fight. I'm sure that we'll breeze through most of that, then hit the brick wall that is the Gen 5 Elite Four. Let's see how it goes. Believe it or not, but the Ice Gym was harder than usual. I lost the first try, but it's just because they used Swagger and we hit ourselves 3 times in a row. That was just awful luck. On the second try, I had a pretty normal fight with them, and although they did a lot of damage, we still probably would have won this fight maybe 7 out of 10 times. There's a lot of travel coming up, but that part's boring. Let's cut ahead to the next major fight. On our way there, though, I took the Plume Fossil. I knew that if I didn't say what I took, you'd all ask. Actually, now that I think about it, everyone ask anyway. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. Okay, time for the last Bianca fight. Statland is first, so our attack is down. I didn't think I'd get a 2-shot, but a crit guaranteed it. Samurott hit us really hard with Return, then a critical Aqua Jet to nearly take us out before we finally got our act together and finished it, but our health was red by the end. Simisear was a 1-shot with a critical Return, and last was Masharna, who survived with the Sliver, hit Psybeam to drop us to only 10 health, then we finished it. How is the Bianca fight the closest one in the game? But of course, the Dragon Gym right after was a cakewalk, as it nearly always is. I don't know what's with Pokemon games and the 8th gym being really easy. It's so weird. It's like how it is in most of them, now that I think about it. Who's even a hard 8th gym leader? Like Claire from Gen 2, I guess. And of course, by the time we get to the final Charon fight, we only take damage from his Emboar because nothing else could survive long enough. Man, using a single Regigigas is really, really fun. I know I've told you guys before that if you're gonna try a run, try this, but no, really, try this. This is really fun. Okay, well, that's the end of the super easy part. I enjoyed it while it lasted, but we're walking into the Elite Four now, and I usually start by doing my rounds and losing to all 4 of them. That's pretty much our routine at this point, and just because I have Regigigas doesn't mean I think that it'll be any different. We still have those 5 turns of half speed and attack to contend with. I think it's time to pull the trigger on Substitute. Now that we're at the Elite Four, let's take a look at our team. Exactly 200 health and 231 attack both make me feel pretty hopeful, but also that my moveset really isn't the best. The Ghost fight might be really hard if we have to use Foresight on each Pokemon, and it might be worth replacing something with Substitute just to help me stall better in general. Maybe Zen Headbutt could get me through the Ghost fight since she doesn't have any Dark types, but I'm a little skeptical. I do think it's worth trying though, just because I'm pretty sure that I could at least beat some of them and get some decent experience. I'll go get Substitute and then give it a try. Make your final guesses on if we can win this or not. Let's do this. First is Ghost Trainer Chantel. Right away I used Substitute to try and stop Will-O-Wisp when something funny happened. We hit Zen Headbutt, and Mummy got rid of our slow start, so we got our power-up early. I forgot that would happen. Well, for as much as that helps us, Golurk just puts a curse on us. Yeah, I really don't know why curse works while we're in Substitute. I feel like that's the kind of thing that Substitute usually blocks, but whatever. Let's just beat the other Elite Four members first, and then we'll come back to this one. Second is Dark Trainer Grimsley. This goes awful, though. They do exactly enough damage to always break our Substitute in one hit, so I can't use it to help us stall. And thanks to not being able to keep a Substitute up, we never ended up blocking Intimidate from Crocodile. We're just taking too much damage from each individual Pokemon here to survive. Marshall's gonna be a disaster, right? Third is Fighting Trainer Marshall, and it actually goes really well. It's all thanks to Throw not using Storm Throw right away. He kept using weaker moves like Bulldoze instead, and our Substitute lasted way longer as a result. Pretty much the moment Slow Start was over, we just swept the whole rest of the team other than Sock, who couldn't finish us off with Karate Chop. I kind of can't believe we won that, and in so few tries. I think it only took me like 4 tries to figure out the strategy. Fourth is Psychic Trainer Caitlyn. Reuniclus is first, and although it was a 2-shot, it took out exactly half of our health with a Focus Blast. Sigilyph hit us right away before we could put up Substitute, so although we crit to knock it out right away, we have 6 health and a damaged Substitute. Gothitelle instantly finished off the Substitute, but we shook off Slow Start and took her out. Last was Masharna, who was a 1-shot, and I'm happy it was considering we have 9 health left. That was way too close. Okay, a few levels later, and after I failed this ghost fight a million times, I have to hope that Cofagrigus doesn't use Psychic enough times to break my Substitute, then for Golurk to not use Curse, then I need Flame Body to not activate when taking out Chandelure. I haven't quite had the holy trinity of all these things happen yet, because it's just so easy to lose this fight. The worst part is that if we just don't get burned, Jellicent wouldn't be that hard. Plus, we failed a lot of runs just to Zen Headbutt missing. This is for sure possible, but I'm gonna have to keep trying for a while. Many tries later and we got this run where Cofagrigus goes fine, Golurk didn't use Curse, and against Chandelure, we just got hit by Payback and didn't get burned when taking it down. Finally. Last was Jellicent, and it's not over yet. Here's the problem. Sometimes when we Zen Headbutt her, Cursed Body kicks in and disables it so we can't hit her for multiple turns. That happens to us, so I was forced to just keep using Substitute to kill time until eventually we were able to finish her off while in red health. That was way too close. Last, we're back to Grimsley, and as expected, the winning move here is to use Substitute right away and kill time so that we can take out Crocodile easier. But this time, Scrafty just wasn't taking out the Substitute. He was spamming Sand Attack instead, so we came out of it way healthier. We still lost our Substitute, but we got our act together in time to have an easy time taking out the entire rest of his team. Really not that bad. With the entire Elite Four down, all that's left is the final two fights with N and Getsus. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really think that we're ready for it yet. I haven't exactly planned out my moveset with the final battles in mind yet, but I'm gonna go in there and just see how it goes. Wish me luck. Okay, right away I can tell that we can't beat N yet for one obvious reason. We're slower than his first two Pokemon, and they pretty much wreck us right away. Sometimes we survive, but just hardly, and obviously we can't take a single hit beyond that point. I'm just gonna have to get slightly stronger until we have the speed advantage at the start, or at least until we can survive long enough to get rid of Slow Start. Level 70. We're still slower than Zekrom, but I was able to at least put up a Substitute and take him down pretty fast, so we're already better than usual. We lost our Substitute to Night Slash, but we nearly one-shot Zoroark in response. He used a full restore, and then we actually one-shot him. That was kind of perfect. Next is the real Kling Klang, but it hardly hurt, so we just one-shot it with Revenge. Vanillux was our chance to use Substitute, but unfortunately, he used Hail. So even though we were still doing awesome damage, the weather knocked us out. Quickly, too. Man, that's a brutal way to go down. Okay, I'm gonna get 3 more levels and then keep trying. A few tries later, everything goes the same as before, other than Zoroark going down a little bit faster and us having awful health by the end of Kling Klang. But I had my Substitute up early, so I could make Vanillux faint before he used Hail. Caracosta took out our Substitute, but we still two-shot him, and last was Archeops, who we thankfully took out in one hit of return, keeping him from surely finishing us off. Great fight! It's time for the final boss, Getsus. Right away it's Cofagrigus, so I use Substitute and then hit Zen Headbutt to get rid of our slow start with Mummy, just like we did with Chantel. Now are you ready for this? Because of him getting rid of our slow start so quickly with his ability, and the entire rest of its team not having crazy defense, we can literally use Return and sweep his entire team. The ones who did manage to survive a hit either used full restore or couldn't take down our starting Substitute. Despite having a pretty hard end fight and a brutal Chantel fight, Getsus was super easy. Alright, you already know I had a fun time with that run. Regigigas runs are always fun. I'll probably do one in Black 2, since I haven't done a Black 2 run since the Christmas episode like 2 years ago now. Maybe I'll even crack out Gen 6 one day, who knows? I really hope you guys like that run. The next Pokemon Challenge should be up next Saturday like usual, with Pokemon Platinum with 1 Ponyta. That one might be really hard. As always, I'm looking forward to your suggestions in the comments in the challenge request section of my Discord channel and on Twitter. Subscribe, ring the bell, stay tuned. Outro time. Okay, so there's the elephant in the room that I absolutely have to address for anyone who has followed me on Twitter and keeps up with me and whatnot, because they're all going to be in the comments talking about one specific thing, so I kind of have to address it. I addressed it last week in the outro, but that was for a Fallout challenge, and I know a lot less of you watched that, so I guess I have to say it here. Yeah, Fatima's back. She's doing fine. We're both doing fine. But we actually separated a few weeks ago. It's a mutual thing. Everything's okay. We're both okay. This is something that was kind of like a long time coming, but the separation of her being over in France and being able to study over in France, giving both of us kind of that freedom and space from each other, it became more obvious that, yeah, we did want to be apart and it would be okay if we were. So if you want like details and stuff, we could never get into everything even if we wanted to, because it's a 14-year relationship and that's incredibly complicated. I'll have a link to the initial tweet that I sent out to let people know as like the pinned comment on this video. So if you really want more details, there's going to be a little bit more in there, but like, if you're looking for drama or mudslinging or anything like that, you're just not going to find anything. Now, everyone who already knows about this has already flooded me with messages, always asking if I'm okay and wishing me well and stuff like that. So I can already know that you are definitely going to say that in this comment section. So I want to just preemptively say, don't worry about me. I'm doing pretty well. At the time that I'm recording this voiceover, the separation was like 3 weeks ago or so now. So I'm actually doing pretty well. We're still living together right now because Fatima's going to have to, find a job and find a place to live, and that's going to take a little while, but that's all right. I'm probably going to be streaming a whole lot more, sometimes on YouTube, but I typically like to stream on Twitch. Part of that is just that I'm going to obviously have, like, a lot more time to spend now that I'm not spending most of that social time with my wife. And part of that is just that, like, I've wanted to build up my streaming stuff for a really long time now. Those of you who've watched me for, like, a crazy long amount of time will already know that I used to stream tons and tons and tons. I was streaming before Twitch TV was around. I've streamed on multiple different sites and stuff. It was really only in the last few years that I became way too busy to stream, so I'd really like to dedicate more time to streaming and build that back up, have some fun there. That would be a great time. Plus, you can only imagine if I have to start filing all of my personal taxes just for myself and not as a couple, I can only assume that that's going to mean my taxes owing are going to go up a lot. You know you're an adult when you have to start worrying about the tax implications of stuff. When you have a breakup and one of the first things you have to think about is, oh no, I'm going to owe more taxes now. It's the weirdest thing, but like, yeah, that's actually something you have to worry about. It's crazy. So yeah, don't worry about me too much. There could be like more mid-rolls on the channel, or maybe I'll have to like actually do the footwork of trying to find another sponsorship that I actually like working with, which is very difficult to do, by the way. I'm way too picky. I might have to do something like that to increase income, because like I really want to make sure that Fatima lands on her feet at the end of this whole thing. So I have to support her through this whole thing, like financially, you know? And I want to help her with moving costs and whatever, with wherever she ends up going. So in the meantime, there's lots of extra costs coming up that we just couldn't have anticipated before this whole thing. So yeah, I might have to do more mid-rolls or more sponsorships or something like that, just to make sure that financially everything's okay. Who knows? Patreon's there if you want it. It's basically just a tip jar. I don't really put anything on it. Yeah, I appreciate it. Oh, and there's like super thanks and stuff. I appreciate that as well. You know all the things if you want to do the things. I really need to get to work though, because obviously it's been emotionally a little bit difficult in my personal life for the last few weeks. So I'm really trying to catch up on work. I'm doing way better this week. So I'm plowing on through and I'm getting everything back together, and I'm past my moping phase. So don't go worrying about that. I'll be fine. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and until next time, have a nice day.